Hey guys, Doug Krull here, back with part three. In part one, we broke down the different networks and kind of the meanings behind the different networks like PPO, HMO, POS, and EPO. In part two, we broke down the structure of a comprehensive medical plan, kind of how things work, what you would owe, what the insurance company pays, and kind of the basic structure of how that works. Now, again, I do another disclaimer. Everyone's experience is going to be different. So just make sure to talk with either myself or a licensed professional so that you can get the most up-to-date information on what you can expect when you choose your medical plan. I just built this scenario based on what I chose for my family. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, we did an example based on a $500,000 medical bill with a $5,000 deductible and a 80/20 coinsurance with a max out-of-pocket of $2,000, leaving the deductible and coinsurance combining for $7,000, and the insurance company combined with the PPO discount covers for the rest. So now I know that $7,000 is much better than a $500,000 medical bill, but yeah, it's still $7,000, and there are a lot of people out there that would struggle to pay for that. And you can try to set up a payment plan with the medical facilities, doctors, hospitals. They most of the time they will work with you on some level. You might not get all the terms that you want, but you should be able to get something negotiated with them. But nothing is ever guaranteed because they simply don't have to. Another way you can cover for that gap is utilizing what we call supplement coverage or gap coverage. So let's say to start off with, let's say this big bill falls into one of these categories. In fact, these categories make up for over 90% of all major bills, such as a $500,000 bill. So over 90% of the time, statistically, if you have a big bill, it's going to fall into one of these categories. It's going to fall into cancer, an accident, a stroke, or a heart attack. And we can even roll in hospitalization on that H as well. But over 90% of the time, it's going to fall into one of those categories. And so what I did with my family is I layered in some added protection to ensure that this $7,000 was going to be paid for by the insurance company and not by my checkbook or my bank account. So let's say to start off with, that $500,000 bill is cancer. Mark there, put an E there. Yes, I know how to spell. So a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. Now those are going to be some pretty big bills. I've seen heart attacks and strokes go anywhere from $30,000 all the way up to well over $100,000 and above and beyond. So what we like to do is we like to layer in some what we call as critical illness supplement, and that is built on a life insurance chassis with a living benefit. So how do you choose what amount to place as that figure? Well, I like to break this down into three different parts. One, the most important part is cover for that $7,000. So if you want to make sure that you don't have any, the least likelihood of medical bills based on a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, make sure to at least get that $7,000. But what I would like to do is I would like to cover for at least 2 deductibles and 2 out of pocket. Why? Because I know that if that medical bill comes at the end of the year, or if you're hospitalized and you're still accruing medical expenses starting January 1, when that deductible and that max out-of-pocket coinsurance resets, you're going to have more than just that $7,000. I actually had a relative that was diagnosed with cancer, and he was still going through treatment at the turn of the year. And so he had 2 deductibles and 2 out-of-pocket maxes. So in this case, you'd probably want at least $14,000 in that critical illness benefit, and that's per person. You want to make sure that each person is covered for. Finally, if you really want to cover for yourself, what's another way? You want to add up 3 months of your income. Because what if you're going through cancer treatment, a heart attack, stroke, and you can't work for a few months? Chances are, if it's a stroke, it's probably going to be longer than 3 months. I actually had a friend had a stroke, and he couldn't go back to work for over a year. He was kind of rehabilitating to where he could even perform his basic functions at his job, and it took him about a year before he was able to go back to work. And now, granted, that's a worst case scenario, but he didn't have any disability insurance. They just had to go without his income for that entire time. So let's say for just a round figure, your income's $5,000 a month. So you'd want to have $15,000 in addition to that $7,000. So that would, I would like in that kind of scenario for you to have, and we'll just round it up to $30,000. So upon diagnosis of a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, internal cancer, the insurance company is going to send you a check for a lump sum of that $30,000 if you elect that critical illness benefit. Now, the good thing is you don't have to be out of work for 3 months, or you don't have to have 2 deductibles and 2 coinsurances to meet. They're going to pay that $30,000 out. We just choose that round figure to ensure that if the worst case scenario happened and you needed 2 deductibles and 2 coinsurances, as well as 3 months of income replacement, it's going to be there. And why is that income replacement important? Because not only do you need your basic expenses paid for, but you want to keep that monthly premium paid as well, because if you stop paying that premium, the benefits stop too. And those benefits are very, very handy if you're hospitalized or going through cancer treatment. So what if that big bill is an accident? Now, again, this example is going to be based on what I did for my family. So your experience might be a little bit different just based on the benefit options that you choose. But ours is, after the first $250, the next $20,000 per accident, per covered person is going to be covered for. So why is that important? Obviously, deductible and coinsurance. It's really, really important. And this is excess medical bills. So you're not going to have a $500 accident, $20,000. You're going to get whatever the insurance company isn't paid, whatever you're responsible for, is what they're going to write a check out. Just a quick example, I had somebody go to the ER with an allergic reaction to a spider bite, and it was $7,000. So there was no hospital benefit. There was a small benefit when it came to the ER visit, but it was still $7,000. And in our plans, or the plan that she chose, spider bites and bee stings or food poisoning even are classified as accidents. And after the $250, the rest was paid for. So it came in very, very handy. Most common ones are going to be, a broken arm or a broken leg, maybe an injury, a child gets injured at a football game or something like that. You want to be very ready in the event that an accident does happen. And so an accident, if your plan was identical to the way I set my family up, $250 would be the max. And that's going to cover each person. Each person has their own separate $20,000 per accident. And finally, the next one is going to be any hospitalization. Now, that's not a part of this scenario, but I do like the idea of having some sort of hospital confinement, paying anywhere from $800 to $1,200, so $1,200 a day, starting day 2. Most of them will have like a 1-day elimination period. So the next day, it'll start paying out that $1,200 a day in this scenario. Why I like that is because you could actually be hospitalized for something other than a heart attack, stroke, cancer, or an accident. Let's say you had appendicitis. Typically 3 to 5 days in the hospital. Wouldn't $1,200 a day starting day 2, so 4 days of $1,200 a day. That's nearly $5,000, guys, that you're going to have towards your deductible and your coinsurance. So it does come in handy, and those are typically benefits that are not a huge addition to the premium that should cover you. I also like to layer in a little bit of doctor coverage as well, maybe some accidental death and dismemberment in case you lose an arm or a limb. There's that added benefit. And we do have several partners that focus their careers in the life insurance world that we can certainly set you up with if you're in need of some life insurance. But with this, this is how I try to set up as many of my clients as possible to cover for the deductible and out-of-pocket maxes to ensure that the insurance company is paying the majority, if not all your bill, as long as it's in-network coverages. So that is the third part. And if you have any questions, call me. go to my website, dnaconsultinggroup.com, and fill out the information if you want a free quote, or just call or text directly, and we'll jump in and help you guys out. Looking forward to helping.